This is your host, Town Manager John Potter, broadcasting from the BCTV studios in Brattleboro, Vermont, with another edition of the Town Matters podcast. This podcast is a brief update on what's happening in Brattleboro town government. Today, I'll give you an update on the Selectboard's meeting held on Tuesday, March 24th, and then I'll review the agenda for the next regular meeting, which will be on Tuesday, April 7th at 6:15 p.m. in the Selectboard meeting room at 230 Main Street. Also, I'll go over a few announcements before wrapping up. So the meeting that the board had on March 24th had 4 items on the consent agenda: approving a 2026 Community Tree Fund mini grant, approval on a resolution for the town to agree to the 6 defendants' opioid settlement, approval of a parade and open meeting permit for the No Kings March, which was held on March 28th, and approval of a banner. Those 4 items were approved on consent by a vote of 5-0. Under regular business for March 24th, the board first got an update on the Brattleboro Festival of Miniatures from Melanie Kahn, and also she was joined by Kate Traskus, Aaron Skaggs, Nancy Vitale, and Desiree Stango, who all talked about how successful the festival was last December and their thoughts and plans on next year. Next, the board had a presentation from the town attorney on a public records request policy, and that was more or less just putting in place what the town already is doing, but putting it down in a policy and also announcing the transition to an online ability to file a public records request. The board had a motion to adopt the Brattleboro Public Record Inspection, Copying, and Transmissions policy as presented, and that passed by a vote of 5-0. Next, there was a fiscal year 26 monthly budget update through the end of January. And among the discussions on the budget update were firefighter overtime, the EMS collection rate, parking fund, and the utility fund were all brought up. And there was a motion to accept the monthly budget update for January as presented, and that passed 5-0. The next item on the board's agenda was sort of an intro to this new initiative that's emerging in town called Next Generation Brattleboro around economic development and aligning efforts. This is something that the BDCC, the DBA, and the Chamber of Commerce have all been contributing to and talking with others in the community who've approached the town or those organizations, talk about where are we going with economic development and how can we level that up a bit and get in alignment around a shared vision for where the town should be going. So it was a very positive conversation with the select board about this, and they were extremely supportive of moving forward on this sort of an initiative. So stay tuned. There's lots more to come on Next Generation Brattleboro, and it's very exciting and good direction, I think, for the town to be headed. There was no motion required for that item, and the board moved on to figuring out their motions and preparations for the annual town meeting, which is coming up on April 11th. And they went through all of the articles and figured out what the motions should be and who was going to read them. And there was a motion to accept. Not sure. Let's see. My notes have here there was a motion to accept the motions, but I don't think they needed to have one, so I don't recall whether there was actually a vote on that or not. In any event, they're all set for town meeting on April 11th. The next select board meeting is a regular meeting that's scheduled for Tuesday, April 7th at 6:15 p.m., and that is at 230 Main Street on the second floor in the select board meeting room, or you can also join that meeting by Zoom. And this is what will be on the agenda for that meeting, Tuesday, April 7th. So consent, there's a long list of consent items, and I will read through those now. There is a budget amendment and additional funding for the William Street retaining wall project, and that is approving almost a $157,000 amendment, which is amazing and awesome. And I really want to give a shout out to Brian Bannon, who worked really hard to get this additional funding to help cover the costs on that retaining wall that was repaired off of William Street. Next on the consent is approval of an annual entertainment license for the West River Cafe out on Route 30, I think that is. And then also approval of an annual entertainment license for India Masala House. There was approval of a third-class liquor license for Echo Restaurant and Lounge, and approval of a parade permit application for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention's Walkathon. I don't recall the date on that, nor on the next one, which was the Green Street School 5K run. That was approving that parade permit for that event. Also on the consent is authorization of a $52,487 purchase of a 2026 Ford F-250 pickup truck, and approval of a $161,497 purchase of a 2025 Isuzu NPR Series truck with a compactor. There is the annual commissioners report and appointments on the consent agenda for the Wyndham Regional Commission, and that will be appointing Sue Fillion and Ralph Mema to continue on as Brattleboro's representatives on the WRC. There are several items on the consent agenda around VTrans, and one is adopting the road and bridge standards for 2026, which is something that the town does every year. There's also authorization for a grant application of up to $200,000 for VTrans Structures Grant, authorization up to $200,000 as well for an application for VTrans Class 2 paving funds. And then the final items on the consent agenda are approval of the permit to hold gallery walks this upcoming year, approval of the Selectboard's retreat plans, and authorization of a purchase of a water system metering device replacement. So those are all on the consent agenda. Under regular business, the board will be announcing committee vacancies. There are several vacancies on town committees that the board is looking for folks to step up and help out there. And then VTrans staff will talk about a bridge project that is upcoming at Exit 1. So replacing the I-91 bridges at Exit 1 and how that's all going to work. And then the final item on April 7th will be a DPW update from DPW staff on what projects are coming up this spring and summer. So if you're interested in any of that, please tune in. I have a few announcements. Open town meeting is happening on Saturday, April 11th, starting at 8:30 a.m. in the Brattleboro Union High School gym. All registered voters are welcome to attend. To prepare for the meeting, there will be an informational session on Wednesday, April 8th in the Brattleboro Area Middle School Multipurpose Room. The info session starts at 7 p.m. Starting April 13th through early July, the back entrance of Brooks Memorial Library, the entrance up by the Municipal Center, will be closed to the public due to construction. Library patrons should plan to use the front entrance along Main Street. The Town of Brattleboro and the Vermont Energy Education Program will be offering a hands-on workshop about home energy options at Brooks Memorial Library on April 29th, starting at 5:30 p.m. The town's sustainability coordinator will be presenting on portable solar, which you may recall was on the agenda during the Selectboard's March 10th meeting. During this workshop on April 29th, you can learn more about how portable solar works and how it can reduce the electricity that you draw from the grid. That's a recap of what's happening in town government in Brattleboro. Please reach out to me at the town manager's office or townmanager@brattleboro.gov if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you want to discuss anything further. There's lots of additional information on the town website, brattleboro.gov, about what's discussed at the select board meeting, so please check in there for agendas, reports, and backup materials. Thanks for listening, and please check in again soon.